legend will be born.
Welcome to Planet Arrakis. Denis Villeneuve's Dune is one of the biggest films of 2021, and quite a bit went into making it, from practical effects like moving platforms and otherworldly sets.
It's amazing, watch it.
Director Denis Villeneuve didn't want to rely on green screen and CG when bringing the planet of Arrakis to the big screen. Villeneuve insisted that the film be shot in the Jordanian desert of Wadi Rum, which is known as the Valley of the Moon.
They didn't shoot Jaws in a swimming pool.
Villeneuve wanted to use as many real environments as possible, and wanted the cast and crew behind the film to be inspired by infinity. What may surprise fans is that, according to Chalamet,
I think it's literally 2 scenes I did on a green screen, and besides that, everything else was practical.
the filming conditions in the Jordanian desert of Wadi Rum weren't the most preferable for the actors in front of the cameras.
It gets so hot during the day that sometimes you have to shoot between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. I guess it'd be too dangerous to be shooting outside.
Filming also took place in Abu Dhabi's Liwa Desert, which was the same desert that Star Wars The Force Awakens filmed, making it a bit of a homecoming for Oscar Isaac. The tents on set had to be treated with air conditioning, as the movie was being filmed on location in July and August, which are the hottest months of the year in the Liwa Desert.
I can't walk like regular humans.
The team behind Dune took a page from how classical blockbusters were made when it came to the film's practical effects. Paul Lambert, the 2-time Oscar-winning VFX supervisor behind Dune, revealed that a 4-meter-wide platform was made and mounted on a system that allowed it to vibrate at different speeds. As soon as that vibrating starts, audiences will be able to notice the actors' feet sinking into the sand. When creating out-of-this-world vehicles, most films would either resort to CGI or small-scale models. That wasn't the case when it came time to bring Dune's iconic Thopters to life on the big screen. The Thopters were made using gimbals on the high hills of Budapest. The gimbals were used so that the crew could raise, lower, rotate, and pivot the Thopter on an axis. This would help make the Thopter scenes feel more real and even more intense for audience members.
They fight like demons.
An epic like Dune needs to have some intricate fight scenes, and Denis Villeneuve knew just the guy to choreograph the fight scenes: Roger Yuan. Yuan worked as a fight coordinator for several major action franchises, such as the Bourne films and the James Bond film Skyfall. With Dune, he knew that each group of characters would need their own fighting style. For the Atriedes, Yuan used more of a Filipino style, of Kali and Eskrima. For the Sardaukar, Yuan based the fighting moves off of the ways of Vikings and samurai. For the villainous and brutal Harkonnens, Yuan decided to give them a more bestial and sadistic fighting style.
You fight when the necessity arises, no matter the mood.
While much of the exterior shots of Dune were filmed in the Jordanian desert of Wadi Rum, for the more detailed interiors, real sets were built inside studios in Budapest. One of the main sets that was built in Budapest was the Emperor's Palace on Arrakis. The sets were built as massive environments and rooms, so that their physical reality could give the actors and actresses ideas, so they could each bring something different into their performances. The massive size of the sets impressed even Oscar Isaac.
It really made me feel like I was in an alien planet.
From the ever-expansive architecture to the vast desert and the larger-than-life ship, the physical sets were unlike anything most of the cast had ever seen before.
The visuals, the lighting, Greg's unbelievable.
Since Dune takes place on a different planet, it'd be strange if all the inhabitants just spoke English, which means that the team behind the film would have to create a new language. The creative team members contacted the King Kong Lang David Peterson, who worked on creating languages for Game of Thrones, to help build languages for the film. Peterson worked on 4 different linguistic systems for Dune. 2 were spoken and 2 were signed, and also worked on an entire writing system.
This is Dr. Yue's handwriting.
The designs of the interiors of Arrakis were made to look as authentic as possible. In fact, the crew behind the film implemented cultural links from the story into the carvings on the walls. This includes the sandworms, which are one of the most recognizable icons from the Dune lore. One of the frescoes showing off a carving of the sandworms was made to look like it was carved by the Fremen working for the governor. Greg Fraser, who served as the cinematographer on the film, found himself in a bit of a challenge when filming the interior scenes of the Arrakis compound. The compound had no windows, as thematically it's supposed to withstand war and heat. Production designer Patrice Vermette and Denis Villeneuve solved this by using light wells throughout the fortress set. The light is effectively the byproduct of bounce light that comes in through the shaft. It's not direct, harsh sunlight.
That's true.
Like many other modern blockbusters, Dune used the IMAX format for entire sections of the film, which includes Paul's vision, as well as the dream and desert sequences. The rest of the film was shot in the traditional 2:35 format, which is used for most modern movies. In order to maintain the impact and awe of the IMAX on the audience, Villeneuve claimed that it was beneficial to step away from time to time. Villeneuve also made the decision to film the desert scenes with a handheld camera, but the rest of the world in the film would be more similar to tableau. Stellan Skarsgard stars as Dune's robust villain Baron Harkonnen and claims that his time in the makeup chair made up 30% of his entire time working on the movie. When it came time to film Baron's black, murky bath, the crew debated about doing the scene digitally. Skarsgard wasn't too bothered at that point and didn't want to get out of his intricate suit, so he happily dipped himself into that oh so unappealing bath.
We don't want the prize to fall.
Color was another major component that went into making Dune. Denis Villeneuve wanted Arrakis to be harsh and desolate, and an environment that would be unwelcoming to outsiders. Villeneuve, along with the cinematographer and production designers, tried their best to never make the sky in the film look blue. A lot of desert photography was also done where there was both yellow sand and a blue sky. But to avoid this, the team veered away from that and decided to make the sand look more washed out and the sky more white. Hans Zimmer is one of the most legendary and influential composers in the business. Zimmer had even turned down working with Christopher Nolan so that he could work on Dune. One of the most interesting aspects of the Dune score is the use of bagpipes, which according to Zimmer was completely Denis Villeneuve's idea. After noticing a bagpiper in a scene in the movie, Zimmer turned to Villeneuve, who said, "Well, you can't just do trumpets. You can't do fanfare." But this ancient instrument could have been around forever. From there, Zimmer ended up recruiting 30 different bagpipers to make up for the unconventional addition to the score. Production designer Patrice Vermette had some unconventional ways of finding locations to stand in for Arrakis. In fact, Vermette used Google Earth to scour the globe for potential filming locations before settling on Wadi Rum, including Iran, Chad, Mauritania, and Libya. Vermette and Villeneuve selected Wadi Rum as they found it to be like a trade show of rock formations. The pandemic caused some problems during the post-production process of Dune, as director Denis Villeneuve was unable to work in the same room as his long-term editor Joe Walker. Villeneuve claimed that working separately was not the same, and that editing was much like playing music. You need to feel the other, feel his reaction, feel your own reaction. There are so many ideas that Joe and I have. I don't know if it's his idea or my idea. It comes from the addition of us both being in the room, which is by far my favorite thing about cinema. Despite Dune being a passion project for Denis Villeneuve, there have been plenty of other attempts to bring Frank Herbert's novel to the screen. Outside of the David Lynch movie from 1984, legendary filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky attempted to bring it to life, but to no avail. Years later, lone survivor filmmaker Peter Berg attempted to bring the series to life, but was unsuccessful. It wasn't until Denis Villeneuve signed on to bring Frank Herbert's vision to life that things finally came together.
How dare you use the voice on me?
From very intricate details made with the sets, costumes, and practical effects, director Denis Villeneuve and his team were clearly passionate about making Dune, and it truly shows on screen. Are you excited to check out Dune?